Match each equation with a graph. Be prepared to explain your reasoning. Okay, I think there are several different ways to do this. If we look at the first numbers, we can see that they all start at 200. So we actually can also see over here on the graph that we know that they're all going to be starting at 200. And we know that they all have this x in the exponent position. So it's really the b value that's going to be determining which one goes where. And one way is just to compare the b values. If we have a really small b value, then it's going to be a very steep decline. If we have a large b value, it's going to be less of a decline. That's one way to do it. Another way to do it is to think about what happens when our x value is 1. So for example, our first one, 200 times 1 to the 4th to the x, instead of x, let's just put 1 here. And so this is 1/4 to the 1 power, which is 1/4. So we want a fourth of 200. So that's 50. So this means the point 150 is on that graph. If I go to 150, I find it right here. So this is going to be D, and this makes sense because this is the smallest b value, so that's going to have the steepest decline. The next one, we could do 200 times 1/2, and instead of x, let's put a 1. So this is going to be half of 200, which is 100. So that means the point 1, 100 would be on this graph. So if we go to our 1, we see that right here, that's C. And that makes sense because now our b value got a little bit bigger, and so our graph got a little less steep. Let's do the next one. 200 times 3/4 to the first power. So that's the same thing as 200 times 3/4, which is going to be 150. And so the point 150 would be on that graph. And we should really put parentheses here if we're going to be accurate, right? So let's put that point. So this would be B. And that makes sense because our B value is still getting bigger. So our graph should still be getting steeper. And at this point, we could probably use process of elimination, or we could just do the last one and say we're going to do 200 times 7/8 to the first power, which is going to be 7/8 of 200, which is going to be 175. So the point 175 should be on the graph, and that's going to be right there. So this should be A.